Noah Michelson, this is the Huffington Post, and today I am with three of the most charming, handsome, and talented men in Hollywood, which sometimes sounds like a cheap pickup line, but today it's actually true. I've got Jamie Dornan, Cillian Murphy, and Sean Ellis. They are two of the stars and the director and co-writer of the new film, Anthropoid, and we're going to chat about it. So I thought to start, why don't you just tell Sean a little bit about what the film is about? Like, give us a 20-word recap of it. Because, like, my friend thought it was about, like, a sci-fi movie about a bug when they heard the title of it. So, what is it about? Why did you spend 15 years bringing it to the big screen?
It's the true life story of two Czech soldiers who were trained by the British SOE and parachuted back into their homeland of Czechoslovakia with a mission called Anthropoid, which was to assassinate Reinhard Heydrich, who was the Reich's number 3.
Mm-hmm. And so you literally spent 15 years.
Was that 20 words?
That worked. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Why were you so passionate about this project, and how did you first find out about it?
Well, I was fascinated by the story when I saw it on a documentary, and I started to research it, and I just found it incredibly brave and heroic and moving and thrilling, and it had sort of like the reversals and beats that are sort of found in film structure. And so I thought it could make a really fantastic film, and not a lot of people really knew about the story. So for me, it was like a chance to tell that story. A lot of people know it in the Czech Republic, but outside of the Czech Republic, it's kind of not that many people know about it.
Right. And then for you guys, why did you want to do it? I mean, you both get scripts, tons of scripts, I'm assuming. What was it about this story that you thought, I have to be part of this?
I mean, I think I'd probably get a few more scripts than Cillian would, but I know what you mean. No, what I'll say is that I was a massive fan of Sean's. I'd just recently seen Metro Manila, which was Sean's last film before Anthropoid, and I know Cillian will say the same thing about it. It blew my mind. I thought it was incredible. I was desperate to work with him, and then I was lucky enough to be sent the script, and and Cillian was already attached by then, and I'm a huge fan of Cillian's, and so it was a bit of a no-brainer, and I didn't know the story myself, but you couldn't fail to be taken by it, and it sort of, reading it sort of ripped me apart, and I just thought, I have to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm. Cillian, what about you?
I mean, all exactly what Jamie has already said, and I think Sean as a filmmaker, what I like to, when I go to a film, I like to be emotionally altered when I leave the cinema. For me, it's like going to cinema going, it's not enough. Mm-hmm. It has to be something that like gut punches you and you come out like winded, sort of emotionally. And in Metro Manila, that film actually left myself and my wife watched it, and we were just absolutely floored by it. And then when I read the script, I knew that, with Sean as the director, we had the same potential to do that to an audience, to come out like feeling altered, and that's what I want from a cinema experience, that it stays with you over a number of days. You think about it, and then the fact that this was a real life event, that these men actually lived and died, and it was a fantastic package.
What kind of pressure is there when you have a real life movie then to actually do it justice? I mean, if you're doing kind of a generic Nazi film and you're not talking about real people, these were actual guys that you guys were playing. Is the pressure amped up then because of that?
I think so. Yeah, I do think you feel like an awareness every day when you're on set that you want to honor the people involved and that you're portraying. I will say that you can't let it overburden you, because it would be paralyzing if you were letting that, get the better of what you were trying to do, which is get in and tell the truth of the scene and just make the picture. But you're certainly aware of it, and you want to be respectful to it. But yeah, you can't let it overtake you.
Mm-hmm. What kind of training did you guys do for the film? I mean, how much were you working with experts in terms of like military stuff? Was that part of it?
Yeah, we did. There's obviously in the Czech Republic, this is a huge part of their history, and it's one that they're very proud of. So there's a great investment in it, and we met a lot of experts on it, and we went through the whole. This guy, they have these reenactors, right? Who kind of diligently every year kind of reenact what happened. They showed us how to fall out of the sky and like wrap up the parachutes and do all of that. And we would do all the gun training and all of that stuff. And I mean, in fact, though, Sean, I think, did probably most of the preparation by getting in shape to carry that camera, because he shot the movie and directed the movie, and so he had to be in amazing physical shape, more than me and Jamie, I think, to shoot the movie himself. But yes, you have to amass as much research and facts as you can. But I think ultimately, when you come to it, it's the script is your primary. You know, that's the document. That's where you have to. That's what you have to be faithful to.
Right. And Sean, for you, I read that you said you didn't want to make a typical blockbuster film here. You wanted to do something that was truer to the actual story. So I'm wondering, when you decide to do that, you still have pressure from Hollywood to make a film that audiences are going to relate to, or that Hollywood is going to kind of rally around. How do you balance that, like people's desire to see a big blockbuster with you wanting to tell this story in a very true and authentic way?
It's not really the way I think about it when I approach it. I don't really think of it in terms of Hollywood or blockbuster. I was just passionate about the story, and sort of sought the money that we needed to make that story. It didn't really say, okay, we're going to open this date and work backwards from there and start doing that sort of stuff. It was very much just like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is the story. And this is kind of what we need to make it. And so I was blessed by two fantastic producers, Pete Cillian and Mickey Liddell, and they supported me all the way through it. And I never felt I was compromised, and they gave me the freedom to make the film that I wanted to make. And so, we never really sort of, once it's done, and if it finds an audience, it finds an audience. It wasn't made with that, with that view really.
Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering too about how you decided to work with Cillian and Jamie. Were you involved in the casting? What was it about them that you wanted for the film?
Cillian was cast first, and for me, the characters were ordinary men. Because the World War II thrust normal men and women into roles that they didn't necessarily have the skills for. We're not talking about super soldiers here. We're talking about normal men and women that were working at a bakery or a factory one day, and then they're trained as soldiers for a couple of days with given a uniform, and then thrust into defending their country. So they had to be believable, these characters. They had to be everyman in that respect. They weren't sort of Terminator-style soldiers. And I think Cillian has this approachability. He plays characters that you really feel empathy for, and I was strongly attracted to that. He was having his TV show Peaky Blinders was doing gangbusters on TV, so I think it was a really lovely moment to sort of come in and be able to work with him at that point. I think he's doing a lot of leading roles now, and I just thought that he had what I needed to bring this character to life in a cinematic way. And then once Cillian was put in place, it was then trying to find the complement to his character. And I met with Jamie, and we just clicked, and I felt Jamie had enough differential kind of skill to bring a person that would marry the two together in a way that they just didn't seem like one person. Because when you write two lead males that are sort of, it's a two-hander, you've really got to make sure that that they're not doing the same thing, that they don't want the same thing, because then you might as well just cast one person and get them to do it. So there's got to be this thing where they kind of work together but also rub up against one another, and their goals are slightly different, even though the ultimate goal is the same. Their methods of getting there is different. So it was just one of those things that just felt right. And I think when you get that feeling and you just go, this feels right, and you just start the engine and go.
Something I've been thinking about, right now, we've got some kind of dark days going on right now in America in terms of the political landscape. and people like to make comparisons between Nazi Germany and what's going on right now, which I think can be very loaded, obviously. But there is something going on in this country and also in other parts of the world. You look at Brexit and what's happening. When you have a film come out that's about Nazi Germany and about the Second World War, and it's coming out in a time like this, does it change the way you think the audiences think about it, or the way that you guys promote it, or that you're thinking about it now?
Well, I think you can never prescribe to people what they should take from a film. You know, if people watch this movie and it resonates in a way, then that's good. But you should never ever tell people what they should feel from a film. I don't think this is a political film. You know, I think it's an historical film, and we should obviously always learn from history, but don't ever tell people what to feel. This would be my instinct.
What about you, for you, Jamie? What do you think?
No, I totally agree with Kill. I mean, it's I think any film that is historical, you can always draw parallels between what was happening then to what's happening now. I think that's what you sort of naturally do when you watch a film that is based on history. You always go, oh no, why is that relevant today? And is there a reason that the films about maybe that particular part of history are being made today in this climate? And you do draw comparisons, but yeah, it shouldn't be certainly making the film and now that it's out and promoting it, I guess you shouldn't be thinking that. People should take, if they want to, they should take from it what they want, and if they want to make comparisons to what's happening today, I think they're very thin, to be honest, but they can do that if they want, I think.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple of comments from our viewers. Also, if you guys have questions, throw them in the comment section and we will ask them. Monica Guerra is saying the movie looks intense. Chase Eccles is saying Jamie and Cillian, OMG. Talk to me, you guys, about filming. OMG, oh my God.
Oh my God, I thought it was from the periodic table.
How was it filming in Czechoslovakia together? What was that like? I've read that you guys sort of became a family and you spent a lot of time together. Were there any hijinks? What was going on when you weren't on set? What was that like?
I was never on set, was I?
Yeah. No, you didn't really.
I used to direct it from my hotel room.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it was a lovely. I like to work in a very family kind of atmosphere. I think providing support for your actors to do their best work is the key role almost of any director. You know, and that goes for the crew as well. You've got to get these people to do their best work for you, and so you've got to create an environment that they're able to do that. So I like an environment of support and trust, and we try hard to build that on set so that everybody feels safe and they, hopefully we get the best work from them that way.
What about for you guys? What was it like when you were off set? What were you doing?
I mean, it was a very intense shoot, and we didn't. When you're making a movie like this, you don't have the that sort of luxury that like a studio movie provides of so much time, and if we don't get it on that day, we can put it in the end of tomorrow's schedule. It doesn't really work like that. But you have to be very focused and work very long days and put all the effort in. So we definitely had some fun when we could together, but it was all about the work really, and very long, intense days. And to be honest, like just absolutely exhausted at the end of every day, because we were just putting so much into it, and but we definitely found some time for fun.
Mm-hmm. Another comment we've got, Victor here is saying Cillian Murphy is a great actor, loved him in The Winds That Shake the Barley. In Batman, he played a perfect psycho. Too cool. I guess that's cool.
That is cool.
Let's talk a little bit about Peaky Blinders. The fourth and fifth season. You two just sit here. This is for you. The fourth and fifth season are coming up. What's it like working on a TV show versus a movie? And is it different? I feel like TV has sort of moved in a direction that's much more cinematic. But how is it different for you?
Yeah, and it's well, Jamie knows as well, because making The Fall, it's a similar thing. You have to you effectively make, if you're making 6 hours of television, that's like 3 feature films in the space of 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
and if you've got if you're sort of the protagonist in it, then you're involved all of the time, and it's the biggest challenge for me in making television is just to try to remember where you are all the time. Like the last season of Peaky, we shot it the 6 episodes simultaneously.
Oh.
So that was an absolute mind fuck. You know, I can say that, right?
You can.
Yeah. So because you're trying to figure out where in the morning you're shooting a scene from Ep 1, and then the afternoon you're shooting a scene from Ep 3. I'm sure it's the same with you. And,
Totally, yeah.
And it's so you really need to know where you are. You need to have a very strong director. So. And then on a feature film, you know, it's different. You have a bit more time, and the arc is pretty it's more obvious, I suppose. Like TV, the way it's shot now, and particularly our show, it's very involved. There's so many conflicting storylines and running simultaneously. It takes a lot of concentration. I mean, both of them take a lot of concentration, but I guess TV is just so much more compressed nowadays.
Right. And now you be quiet. This one's for you.
Yeah.
You just finished 50 Shades Darker, the follow-up to the first 50 Shades movie.
Mm-hmm.
How is it different than the first movie? I hear it's a thriller this time, or more of a thriller.
We actually shot two. We shot the next 2 sequels.
They're both done now.
Yeah, we've done them
Okay.
both.
Got it.
I'm done with it. Yeah, it's darker. It takes on a different sort of turn. You can't just regurgitate the same thing. There's no interest in that. And look, basically anyone who's seen those movies has read the books for the most part, and they will know that there's far more sort of thriller-esque aspects that take place in the next couple of books, and characters that are introduced that shake things up. So it's definitely a different experience, I'd say.
What's it like playing a character like that that's so defining in so many ways? Like my 93-year-old grandma just read the first book. You know what I mean? Actually, she stopped after 70 pages because she couldn't handle it, but she was really into it for 70 pages. But you know what I mean? So you're playing this character that even grandmas know about. What's that like then?
She gave up after that.
She gave up.
Well, fair play to her. I don't try to overburden myself with thinking about that too much,
Yeah.
or you'd lose your mind if you went to work every day going, "Oh my God, I'm playing this guy that all 100 million people care about." Then I don't think it'll be a good energy for me to take to work every day.
Yeah. Wilma is asking, is Jamie doing another season of The Fall? Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, the answer is yes. I've shot it. I did the 3rd series and finished in February. Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Cool. Sean, tell me a little bit more about your writing process. When you do films, you actually are the one who's writing them as well. Why is that so important to you?
It's not important to me. It's just being passionate about what you do, and I guess the subjects that I'm passionate about are not the ones that are sort of covered in the scripts that I'm being sent. So I kind of have to generate it myself in some respects. So yeah, it comes from that really. But it's probably the most difficult part of what I do, because I don't really class myself as a writer in that respect. I love the process of it, and I love having written, but the actual writing of it is you have to be very disciplined, and you have to be, it takes a long time before you can actually sit down to the typewriter and actually write anything. It's a lot of research and a lot of preparation, otherwise you just, you put yourself in, you type yourself into a cul-de-sac very quickly.
Also, you're making it harder for yourself by doing it on a typewriter.
I have to write on a typewriter. That's because you have to concentrate 100% on what you're doing, and the computer unfortunately is designed to give you the whole world at your fingertips. So
Right.
the distraction is just too much. So I actually use typewriters so that I can't, and there's no internet in my writing room. So if I need to research something, I write it on a pad and then I do it later. But generally, when you're in there, it's got to be. And I think also when you write on a typewriter, there's no delete button that you can do. So I often find myself rewriting a sentence for an hour, and whereas with a typewriter, you think about the sentence first and then you commit to it and you do it. And so I find it's a much more disciplined way of working.
What's the reaction been like from the people in the Czech Republic? Like you were saying earlier, this is a story that's very important to them. Have you talked to people from there? What were people saying while you were making the film? What has that reaction been like?
Well, we had a massive percentage of our crew were Czech, and we shot it all in Czech Republic, in Prague. we introduced the film at Karlovy Vary last year at the festival there, and sort of opened it up to the world, and then had the first sort of screening premiere at Karlovy Vary this year. So it's nice to go back, having sort of presented it in the year before, and then come back with the actual pudding. And it was the biggest cinema I've ever been in my life. There's 1,200 people and in this theatre, and there's also 2 other theatres within the complex that were full. And the response was incredible. Cillian didn't bother coming, but Sean and I were there, and but it was an amazing.
Cillian was making the trailer for another film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dunkirk. Which, yeah. The trailer just came out today for Dunkirk. If anyone wants to see it, I've seen it 74 times this morning. But yes, in watching it with 1,200 people, pretty much all of whom were Czech, was incredibly nerve-wracking, I think, wasn't it? And we we're doing it for them in a large part, and it's their story. It's if it's a big part of their history. It's like if you think about where you're from and big historical events of where you're from, to them, to the Czech people, this operation was is a huge part of their history. But it was a real palpable sense of relief at the end, and the response was incredible, and they all stood up and clapped for 10 minutes, and it was quite an experience. Yeah,
I was stood next to the Minister of Defence, and he at the end he had like tears in his eyes, and he hugged me and he said, "You made me feel proud to be Czech." And so but actually probably that was it for me after that. I didn't really listen to anything. There was a great amount of discussion between the Czechs about the story, because obviously it's something really close to them, and it's a little bit like a best-selling novel that everybody's got a take on. So there was fierce discussion about it afterwards, but it's still going on now. But I think it's great because it's definitely brought the historical part of the story back up into the zeitgeist of the country, and obviously now moving it around the world so other people can understand what happened there.
Right, because I've been reading that it's one of the most realistic Nazi films ever made, and because you had such attention to the history of it. And like you said earlier, most people don't know this story. So then be able to take this story and amplify it and put it out there, it must have meant a lot to these people, I would assume.
Yeah, like I said, that reaction was, for me, all that was kind of in a weird way why I made it, because those guys were heroes, and they faced overwhelming odds with indomitable spirit, and they never faltered. Even though they had doubts, when it came to it, they stood tall, and they went down like heroes. And and I thought that was an incredibly brave part of history that I wanted to explore. And so when someone says that they're proud to be Czech, or the film makes them proud to be Czech, that was, I think, yeah, you should be proud of those guys, because they did an incredible thing. It was very brave, and they were really out on their own. There was history has now told us all the sort of events surrounding, but they didn't know that at the time. They were given a mission to assassinate somebody. They didn't know really what he was responsible for, or even really who he was. They were given a name and a rank, and they went there, and and there was a lot of people against it. They weren't. It wasn't like, let's go kill a Nazi. There was they knew there was going to be ramifications afterwards. So there was a lot of people were saying this is the wrong thing to be doing. So, but they were given a mission, and they carried out their orders.
We have to wrap up, but I'm going to read a couple more fan mail for you guys. Gina Crawford says, "I'm pretty much excited to see anything these guys work on." Patty Carey says, "Yay, writing old school." I think that's in reference to your typewriter. Ryan Pringle, "I like action movies, but it's great to see people still making real movies." And that's about it. I want to thank you guys for dropping by, chatting with me, and thank you guys for watching. This is HuffPost. Thanks. Thank you guys.
Thanks very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Easy. Cool.
Good.
Are you guys doing crazy things right now?
No, it's
been okay.
Bad, yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's nice here. You can bang out two in one shot.
Yeah, exactly.